New information this morning on the search warrant executed at former President Trump's Mar-a-Lago residence. The Washington Post is reporting that some of the documents the FBI were searching for were related to nuclear weapons, as well as signals intelligence, which are intercepted digital communications at the highest level. Joining us now is Democratic Senator Tim Kaine of Virginia. Senator, thank you so much for being with us this morning. Your reaction to the news overnight,
John.
The Washington Post says that the FBI was seeking classified documents relating to nuclear weapons. Now, we don't know if they got any. We don't know why they thought that. But how serious would the existence of such documents be?
John, it couldn't be more serious. As you say, we don't know what they got, but it's pretty clear that they had information, likely from some source, that documents at Mar-a-Lago dealt with the most sensitive national security matters that the U.S. must guard very, very jealously. I'm on the Armed Services Committee and the Foreign Relations Committee, and there's nothing more classified than materials related to the U.S. nuclear program.
And as you said, you are on the Armed Services Committee. You can help explain to our audience. This doesn't necessarily mean it has to be nuclear codes, but any information about nuclear weapons, American or otherwise.
Right, exactly. We have intelligence about our own capacities that we wouldn't want to share with adversaries. We also have our own assessments of adversaries' capacities that we would not want to be public. This could be very, very damaging in the wrong hands. Somebody could try to make money by selling this kind of information. I mean, this is the opening stages of an investigation, and we have a criminal system in this country where everybody's presumed innocent until proven guilty. So search warrants and gathering documents and investigations and even indictments aren't the same as a conviction, but it shows the level of seriousness with which the FBI has to treat this matter.
Today happens to be the 5th anniversary of Charlottesville in your state. And I'm mentioning that because today a man is dead, killed in Ohio after he tried to enter the FBI field office there. There are some signs that maybe he was inspired by or responding to some of the political rhetoric that is out there, or his concerns in line with some of the political rhetoric out there. Just reflect on this moment.
Well, John, it's a tragic moment. Three people lost their lives that day: Heather Heyer, and then 2 Virginia State Troopers Bates and Cullen, one of whom I knew because he was part of the detail that I would sometimes travel with when I was governor of Virginia. And I think the attack that day, inspired by right-wing extremism, neo-Nazis, neo-Confederates, people chanting anti-Semitic slogans, terrorizing students who were in their first Friday at UVA, first-year students, and they were in the services at the Hillel Center. It was a horrible day, and it made me question many assumptions I've had about this country. That violence, President Trump's reaction to cavalierly dismiss it, it made me question a lot of assumptions I've had about this country. There's a direct line between the Charlottesville attack, the attack on the Capitol, January 6, 2021, and then some of the violent rhetoric that you've seen used in recent days following the search warrant at Mar-a-Lago, including this tragic instance yesterday in Cincinnati.
And some of the reaction from your Republican colleagues to the search at Mar-a-Lago, some floating the notion evidence was planted. How do you think that factors into this?
I'm just shocked that at my colleagues. The governor of Virginia went after the Department of Justice and said this is the same Department of Justice that labeled Loudon school parents domestic terrorists. There's not a shred of evidence for that proposition. Attacking the FBI for a political investigation. The FBI director is a Donald Trump appointee, Christopher Wray. This is not a Biden appointee, it's a Donald Trump appointee. I lived in a military dictatorship in Honduras earlier in my life, and I know what it's like to live in a society where prosecutors and people trying to hold public officials to account get attacked and even have their lives put in jeopardy. I never thought that would be the case in the United States of America, but this kind of rhetoric by some of my Republican colleagues challenging the investigation, challenging normal legal processes, it's the kind of thing you'd see in a third world country, not in a country that respects the rule of law, and I find that very, very difficult.
So, Senator Kaine, we've been trying to talk to you because I read in Politico this week that you've been dealing with long COVID for 2 years.
I have, John, since. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, how are you feeling? What has it been like for you? And just in general, how do you think we as a country have been approaching this issue of long COVID?
John, just quickly, my personal experience, but my personal experience is minor compared to many others who are really suffering. I'm dealing with mild symptoms, but they're very noticeable. I got COVID in March of 2020. We were passing the CARES Act in the opening days of COVID, and the Capitol was kind of empty, but there was already community spread. I got an unusual set of symptoms that weren't the normal COVID symptoms at the time. Then I gave COVID to my wife, one more thing for a husband to feel guilty about. But within a couple weeks, our cases were mild and we were doing fine. But one symptom that kicked in with me was nerve tingling. Like every nerve ending is dipped in an Alka-Seltzer. That started in late March of 2020 and it's never gone away. I can work, I can exercise, I can sleep. If I wake up in the middle of the night, it's a little bit harder to go back to sleep than it used to be. But this gives me an appreciation for people who are still dealing with symptoms much more serious. Racing heart rate, intense fatigue, brain fog and confusion, other pulmonary issues. There's a whole set of symptoms connected to long COVID, and the estimates are that about 15% of people who've had COVID will end up with lingering symptoms, and that's going to be a huge issue for our healthcare system, for people's ability to work and just enjoy life. And so I decided to talk about my own experience because many people are not believed when they share their symptoms, and I wanted to let folks know, hey, I believe you. Thank God my symptoms are mild, but I believe you, and we need to research and find causes, but more especially find cures and treatments.
Well, Senator Kaine, we're glad that you're well enough to be with us today. We wish you the best, and we're glad you're speaking out about this because a lot of people, I think, are not being believed here. Nice to see you this morning.
They feel a stigma. It's great to be with you, John. Thanks so much.